Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action.
We're here to spark your growth, lift your spirit, and help you crush your potential.
Rise Awakening, hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your station, your voice, where dreams awaken.
Rise Awakenings, let's rise together.
Start with the quiet parts, the things you hide behind your laugh. Sit with the ache a while. Let every question breathe and ask, who was I trying to be? Who am I when I just stay? Name every tender scar and let them have their say. Till your heart carries you. This is the blue.
Pages of old beliefs, stories that kept you playing small. Lay them out on the floor, see which ones never fit at all. Offer your younger self a kindness you never knew.
From the soil of
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bloom. If you are new here, I share everything on this podcast based on my personal experience and knowledge that I've gained along my own educational journey and healing journey. And I do share it in the greatest degree of love, and it's intended to resonate with whoever it's supposed to. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It's just meant to help you. And the chat questions, I will get to as many as possible. And I know Micah does a fantastic job behind the curtain, doing all his pushing buttons things and keeping up with the pace and all this wonderful stuff that he's able to do. So if I resonate with you and you want to dive a little bit deeper, you can find me on healingrose.org or all of the socials. So I know you guys know what the topic is. Let's dive in. The topic is perseverance. So perseverance is something that many of us are taught, right? But perhaps we're not taught fully. All right. This is going to be an interesting conversation because I'm in a lot of pain today. So it's an appropriate conversation for me. So Google Gemini's definition of perseverance is perseverance refers to the determined effort and persistence to achieve a goal, even in adversity. It means continuing to work towards goals, regardless of obstacles, representing a combination of tenacity, endurance, and firm determination, right? That's a solid definition, isn't it? Captures the core mechanics of perseverance, but it's very goal and outcome focused and a bit clinical. We can go better. We can do deeper, right? That's how we roll here on the Bloom. Because perseverance isn't just about pushing through, it's about how you move through it. Many definitions like the one Google shares with us, you know, the determined effort and persistence to achieve a goal, even in adversity. It's true, but it's not the whole truth. Because many of us would taught perseverance as a way to, it's kind of asking us to push through the pain, ignore our emotions, stay when we should have left, keep going even when we're breaking internally, right? That's not perseverance rooted in love at all, okay? Perseverance is not forcing things or struggling by yourself. It is the balance of steady effort and inner resilience, emotional awareness, self-compassion, right? Perseverance means continuing forward without abandoning yourself, without abandoning yourself. I want to say that again because Lordy knows what we learned about perseverance is self-abandonment. And that ain't what we're covering today. True perseverance in love is asking us to adjust when we need to rather than rigidly pushing through, allowing ourselves to rest, reflect, and recalibrate as part of progress, and trusting that growth is actually happening even when we don't see it yet. In modern psychology, perseverance overlaps with concepts like grit, which includes courage and resolve, strength of character, that kind of stuff. But it's missing something. Healthy perseverance is not self-sacrifice, it is self-alignment. Because without self-alignment, perseverance can quietly turn into burnout, emotional suppression, right? Staying in situations longer than we have to. It's not meant for us. That's bad for our health, right? Perseverance in the greatest degree of love is not about forcing your way forward. It is about staying in relationship with your purpose while honoring your humanity along the way. Let's break it down, okay? So, continuing forward without abandoning yourself, right? There's a difference between staying committed and losing yourself to commitment, okay? Like when you're building something meaningful, like a business, a relationship, a healing journey, you're working on stuff, right? Perseverance says, I will continue, but love needs to ask, at what cost to my spirit? If you're actually exhausted, if you're overwhelmed, if you're disconnected from yourself, then that is not perseverance. That's self-abandonment. Okay. True perseverance is I will keep going and I'll take myself with me. Okay. So let's talk about adjusting instead of forcing. We are taught by stopping, changing direction, and pausing, we have failed. We are taught that when things aren't working right, we have failed. By nature, that's not accurate. Nature doesn't move that way itself. A river does not crash endlessly into a rock, it flows around it, right? So you set a goal, obstacles appear. Forcing it says, I must do this or I have failed. I must do it this way or it's not going to be right or something else, right? But when we're persevering with love, we say to ourselves, there's another way, and I'm wise enough to find out what that is. Adjustment is not weakness, it is intelligence guided by awareness. Okay, let's talk about allowing rest as part of the progress. Okay, rest is not the opposite of perseverance. Okay, when you're on a healing journey emotionally, going deep into that inner work and addressing your emotional trauma, or you're healing physically. I'm in a lot of pain today, so that's what applies to me. Slowly helping my body through it, right? That's what we do. We slowly help ourselves physically when we're healing through something. Or maybe we're healing from an outdated thought pattern and mindset that's limiting us, and we're rewiring our brain in some way. Sometimes, some days, we're going to feel strong as heck, capable, competent even, content with how things are going. Other days, we're going to feel fatigued, exhausted, triggered, managing our pain, at least trying to, being completely unproductive, like we're failing. And we ask ourselves, what's the point, right? The old conditioning of what perseverance says is push through, suck it up, buttercup. The bills got to get paid, right? Or any kind of other negative self-talk that ends up happening. But lovingly, persevering in a healthy way is asking you to pause, integrate, breathe. For the love of God, breathe. Because healing is not a race. True perseverance includes rest, because rest is what makes perseverance sustainable. Rest is what makes perseverance sustainable. So how about trusting growth that we can't see yet? Perseverance requires trusting the unknown and the unseen. This one's really, really hard for a lot of us. This is the hardest part, I think, for a lot of us. Okay, because we live in a world where you get immediate gratification. You want to see visible results. You aren't really kind of patient enough, right? When society tells you need to, what's going on? What's my ROI, return on investment, all that kind of stuff. But much of your growth, your healing, your transformation, your becoming, this is happening underneath the surface. Who's going to see it? Who's going to know? And things happen over time. They unfold over time. So you're doing the work, you're journaling, you're reflecting, you're setting boundaries, you're doing all of the things, but your outer life hasn't changed yet. This is where that negative self-talk and those doubts start whispering to yourself. Is this even working? Is this even worth it? Why am I bothering? And am I being laughed at? And who cares about that? But perseverance with love says, yes, it's working. Just because it isn't visible, it doesn't mean it isn't real and it isn't obtainable and it isn't actually unfolding in the way that I need it to. Okay, think of a seed underground. It's not failing because you can't see it. It's becoming one stage at a time. Think of how many months or years it takes for a tree to even bear fruit. Okay? Perseverance invites us to trust the seeds that we plant today will be harvested in its own divine timing. So let's talk about when perseverance is a little bit misaligned. All right? We got to be honest with ourselves, because sometimes what we call perseverance is actually fear. Fear of letting go, fear of disappointing others, fear of starting over, fear of losing something, whatever that might be, whether it's a privilege or whether it's somebody, whether it's things. So we stay, we push, we endure, we tolerate. But the question we have to gently ask is, am I preserving or am I avoiding? Because perseverance rooted in love feels grounded, feels intentional, and it feels aligned. While perseverance in fear feels heavy, it feels draining and contracted. Oof, I don't even like it. So persevering through feelings of failure and the urge to give up. I need to talk about that too, okay? Because that hits a lot of folks, especially those that struggle with chronic issues. There are going to be moments on our path where it feels like nothing is working, where it feels like hopeless. And what's the point? Moments where we question ourselves, our choices, our worth, our direction, right? Moments where that voice inside whispers, maybe this isn't meant for me. Maybe I failed. Maybe I'm not worth it. Maybe I should just give up. What's the point? But let us be clear, feeling like a failure is not the same as being one. Not the same. It's an emotional experience, not a final truth. Understanding that feeling, when we feel like we failed, what's often happening is expectations are not meeting reality. Effort that we produce is not producing visible results, or something that ended that we thought would continue or hoped would continue, right? And in that space, our mind tries to create a meaning. Like, why? We're big on the whys. But the meaning it creates is often harsh, isn't it? And absolute and untrue. Okay? That inner critic. Let's say you try something new, a project, a relationship, or you step into healing, or you rebrand or redirect, or decide to take a different direction in something in an area of your life. And it doesn't quite go the way that you hoped that it did, right? The mind immediately goes to, I messed this up. I'm not good at this. I should have known better. There's that shoulda again, okay? And the body feels it. The body feels heavy, discouraged, contracted. And then we, in that negative mindset can lead to developing deeper issues with our bodies, okay? Hence my pain. Hypermobile, trapped trauma, big issues, autoimmune issue. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to go down that road with that negative mindset. So in this moment that most people will stop and just give up, not because they're incapable, but because they're believing the stories that they tell themselves. How many times do we tell ourselves stories? What stories have you told yourself? You can think about this question and answer it in the chat. And what stories have you told yourself that you believe to make you stop doing something that you later look back and say, well, why didn't I just keep going? Right? Perseverance in love responds differently. Instead of agreeing with that inner critic, perseverance rooted in love asks, what am I learning from this? Is this aligned for me? What can be adjusted? What part of me needs compassion right now? Because the goal is never perfection, okay? It's growth. The goal is growth. We just need to move forward. That's all. So when you feel like giving up, and there are moments when the urge to give up feels overwhelming, here's the truth that we don't say often enough. Sometimes the desire to give up is not a sign to quit your path. It's a sign that something within you needs care. Maybe you're exhausted and overwhelmed. Maybe you're in pain and have very little capacity. Okay? Maybe you're spread too thin and life is not efficient because there's learning curves. Maybe you've been pushing through without any support and doing it all yourself. Right? So instead of asking, should I quit? Why don't we ask instead, what do I need in order to continue differently. You're allowed to feel discouraged. You're allowed to feel uncertain. You're allowed to feel like you've fallen short and still choose to continue. Not in punishment, but in love. Not by forcing, but by reconnecting with yourself, your needs, and your direction. Okay? The grounded truth to remember here is that every path of meaning includes moments that feel like failure. But when we often call failure, what we often call failure is actually just feedback, redirection. You know, one of my t-shirt sayings, it's not rejection, it's redirection. Or it's a necessary part of becoming, because if it's not working, it's not aligned with us. And remember, it's about self-alignment. And also, a seed breaks open before it grows, doesn't it? The breaking is not failure, it's transformation. Okay? Preservation is not the absence of doubt. It is the willingness to continue even when doubt is present, while holding yourself in compassion through it. You're not here to prove your strength and resilience through suffering. You're not. You're here to embody the greatest degree of love toward your purpose, your path, and most importantly, your authentic self. As we close, I invite you to take a moment of reflection. And if it feels comfortable, place a hand over your heart and ask yourself, where in my life am I being called to continue? You can answer these in the chat too. Where in my life am I being called to soften? Am I moving forward in love or in pressure? And simply just listen to your inner voice without judgment, no judgment, just awareness. Okay? In closing, preservation is not about how much you can endure and tolerate. It's about how deeply you can stay connected to your truth, your spirit, and your love while continuing forward. And that is the greatest degree in motion. Whew, let's open up this chat. Hi, everyone. It's been quite a day, especially for those who have chronic pain, because I know how that feels. And it's been like a few weeks now with this pain and I literally have a hip that's kind of out of its socket right now, sort of. And I don't know how to describe that unless you have hypermobility issues, coupled with whatever other issues, making it more challenging to do what you need to do for yourself to help yourself heal. I'm not going to give up on myself. I'm not going to decide that I'm not worth putting time and effort into myself. Yes, the self-doubt creeps in, and yes, the whole, well, what's the point creeps in, but the reality is I shoo it away and I say, well, because I have work to do. My purpose is greater than this vessel carrying me. So when we stay connected to our purpose, when we stay connected to our heart, and when we decide that we're not going to give into the pressures that society, culture, religion place on you, when we get to decide what's aligned with us, we are able to sustain perseverance, okay? Give yourself a break. Give yourself a minute to reassess, to redirect, to ask yourself what's happening and what's not happening within your body, mind, and heart. Because in moments where we feel like we don't have any direction to go in, it's usually those moments where we're not having a need met. We need something. It's a perfect opportunity to check in. So I feel like healthy, loving perseverance is opportunities to, we talked about this a few weeks ago, right? To reflect, to reassess, so that we can redirect ourselves into something else. That's all. Perseverance is, yeah, far too often it's so easy to take things personally when things go wrong that feel like failure, right? Enhances the why bother feelings that can arise. 100 freaking percent. Absolutely. And I can speak personally to this on a lot of levels because as someone with autism and ADHD, and I know that this relates differently to different people in different aspects of life, because as someone with ADHD, I'm continuously being corrected. I'm continuously having people throw advice my way as if I'm doing everything all wrong. I'm continuously telling people, well, you just need to do this, just that, just this, just that. I wish it was that easy, because if it was that easy, I'd be way further ahead than I am today. That's the reality. But the reality that I'm experiencing is very different. I only have so much capacity and I only have so many things that I'm going to do. And I make mistakes because my neurospicy gets in the way. I'm going to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the frigging time. I'm okay with me though. I'm at peace with myself and I have the utmost compassion with myself. But it is so challenging to not take it personally like I'm defective. I feel defective. People make me feel defective because of their good intentions to try to help. It's not helping though. And that's their ignorance and their limitation. And if they have different ideas of what shoulda, coulda, woulda, and I should, what I need to be doing, they're not aware of my actual needs. They don't live my experience in my life. They're not in my shoes doing all of the behind the scenes work that I do on myself to keep myself good, steady, at peace, loving, tranquil, etc. Okay? There's always the dark side to the healing journey or a new business venture or whatever is going on in your life, relationships. There's always going to be things that go wrong. There's always going to be issues that arise. There's always going to be obstacles that come into our space, or some other people that dictate how things are supposed to go as if they are actually doing what we're doing and know what it entails and takes. When the reality is they don't have a clue. They're speaking from their own limitations and ignorance. So does that mean I'm supposed to give up because they don't have a clue? Hell no. Does that mean that I'm going to live in that I'm going to feel worthless and helpless and broken because other people don't have a clue about how I actually function and what my brain and my nervous system actually needs and what my body actually needs? They don't live in my body. They don't live my experience, and they haven't lived my experience. So this is where you can persevere through all of those brick walls that people throw at you and life throws at you in any kind of way. And we have not living up to others' expectations is not a reflection of your attempt to preserve, right? Right. Other people's limitations, because I see expectations as someone else's judgment, someone else's limiting belief. That's how I see expectations. There's loads of expectations projected at us from every freaking direction, and all we are is human. And that first statement that I made, that perseverance in the greatest degree of love, is not about forcing your way forward. It's about staying in relationship to your purpose while honoring your humanity along the way. That is such an important statement for me. Yes, I just read it off my paper. That is such an important statement. And that's why that I said that first, to set the tone, because at the end of the day, we're not supposed to sacrifice ourselves and abandon ourselves to persevere towards someone else's ideas of how things are supposed to go down, how things should go. It don't work that way. It don't. Life does not work that way. We're going to make mistakes in relationships. We're going to make mistakes in our job. We're going to make mistakes in projects and new business ventures. Or technology is going to have an issue. Like Lenoria said, technology was having an issue. Technology has issues, and we live in an age of technology. And if people are projecting and life is expecting and there's deadlines and things have to happen, well, we shouldn't. I'm going to use the should now. We don't want to take things to heart and internalize them, because at the end of the day, we have to honor our purpose and our humanity, and the happenstance has to be part of the progress. Okay? We got to give ourselves a minute to rest our nervous systems and reconnect with ourselves and reassess circumstances and situations to see if they're aligned. Because remember, without self-alignment, it's self-abandonment. We're not actually persevering. And there's transitions in all aspects of our lives, right? We all have to transition in one way, shape, or form. So I guess the idea of perseverance is not giving up, not feeling all the negative feelings that are projected at you, because that's where you're getting your stories from, isn't it? Right? If you just sat with yourself and la la la, things were just, there's nobody around you telling you something's wrong with you, or that you're doing something wrong, or that you don't know what you're doing, or whatever comes at you. And I'm reading this too. Transitioning, starting from scratch can be a real test of whether or not you are aligned with what you are doing. Yes, it can be. It can be. And whatever's not working doesn't mean that you're not aligned with your purpose. It might mean that you need to try something different and do things differently. And sometimes that's going to be messy and ugly. Messy and ugly. I moved all the way to Ohio, and I'm here starting from scratch out of thin air. It took a year of Micah telling me to do a podcast for myself. Because I needed things to unfold to get me to this space and place where I had a real direction that was aligned with me. And I found it. So now we're okay. But the reality is it's not easy to build yourself from scratch. I have to build my body from scratch. I was super physically fit, incredibly muscular, incredibly super force to be reckoned with kind of physically person. And trauma created autoimmune, abuse created autoimmune, my own lack of self-love and the cortisol dumping messed with my physical vessel. I wasn't taking care of my body in those moments because I was deep rooted in that self-loathing, because that's all that was projected at me most of my life. Most of my life, it was projected at me how useless, worthless, and dumb I was. Never was useless, worthless, or dumb. Never was any of those things, but that's what was projected at me. I persevered in the way that I was taught, which was tolerate, push through the pain, this, that, the other, all those negative things that were taught. And when I learned how to love myself truly and deeply, which is why I'm so big on teaching all of you how to really love yourselves where you're unfuckwithable. And yes, I'm going to give another $1 because I said the F word. By the way, I did give Micah extra for the radio station for my cursing. But let's see. It says, replace I can't thoughts with what can I or how can I? Yeah. Yes. What needs to happen that's different than what I'm doing? Because we all know the definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We need to persevere with alignment. We need to persevere with compassion towards our own humanity and efforts, and rest. Rest is a big deal. It's a big deal because it's a chance for us to sit in the stillness and reconnect with our inner self. It's a chance for us to reevaluate and understand ourselves, shifting our perspective of ourselves. Okay. I've reinvented myself so many times through the years because of the abuse that I've endured and the situations that I've escaped. But I didn't really start changing my life until I learned how to love who I am and love myself and see myself as the exact opposite of everything that ever was projected at me. That's when I started to move forward. That's when things started to fall into place for me and align, and just opportunities fell in my lap. Life doesn't move forward if you get yourself trapped in that, well, I have to, I'm obligated, and I just got to push through. Yes, we have bills to pay. Yes, there are things that need to be done. And we can find, like the river, a way to flow around the rocks and help ourselves redirect and allow ourselves to just adjust, allow ourselves to reevaluate every chance we get. Okay? Not everyone's going to be happy with us. I'm okay with that. Somebody talked to me about this yesterday, how she's hated and mistreated and badmouthed. And oh my gosh, listen, I am a happy villain in many people's story because they don't understand me. They don't understand my heart. They're based on their limitations. They decided that I am what they decide I am, because they can't see past their own stories and their own limitations and ignorance and judgment. Am I supposed to just end my life because other people are idiots and not willing to educate themselves? Ignorance is a choice, you know. And sometimes ignorance is very easily cleared up with nothing more than a simple conversation with an open mind. Clarity is key to reevaluating situations. So you need that restful period for you to gain that clarity. That's not being unproductive and failing. That's helping you move forward in a way that's most aligned for you. When you're aligned, things unfold. It's that simple. Things are not going to fall into place if you're in the wrong space with the wrong people, have people in different areas telling you shoulda, coulda, woulda, how to, this, that, the other, and what you're not doing, what you are, you know what I mean? It's exhausting. I'm exhausted just saying that out loud. It's exhausting. So what I want you to do is learn how to continue forward without abandoning yourself by asking yourself. Realigning only looks lazy to those who are set in limiting expectations. Yes, absolutely. Realigning is for you, is reconnecting with your divine purpose. We're all put here on this planet for something. And it doesn't mean be a doctor or a lawyer or something else that's like, you know, successful in a way that, you know, makes you the kind of money that is acceptable as an acceptable functioning human being. It means giving yourself love, giving yourself the opportunity to feel in your heart what's right for you. What is your purpose? That's something that only you can respond to. I live my purpose. Even with this vessel didn't fail me. I failed it. But it wasn't a failure. It was an understanding that this vessel's important, because I'm blessed that the autoimmune stuff that I'm healing from attacked my muscular system, and that was the strongest part of me. So I thank myself for being so strong at those times in my life, because that's what got me through the health problems. That's what's put me here today, where I'm okay. Yes, there's pain. Yes, there's issues. Yes, there's this. Yes, there's that. But I'm okay. I'm moving through it. I'm moving through it with compassion, with love, with care. Healing Rose, I'm building something out of thin air. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I don't know how to make a nonprofit thing happen. I'm just starting, and I'm trying different things, and not everything's working. Not everything's working. I'm redirecting, realigning, and just adjusting as I go along, because if it feels aligned, that's what I'm going to do. If I lose people for it, then those aren't the ones that I need for me right now. It's kind of a weird journey to be on, but the perseverance has to be with you focusing on who you are and what your purpose is, and aligning yourself with yourself. Okay? Take yourself with you on this journey. Qigong teaches to thank the body for the alert that something is off. Yes, I practice Qigong. It does. And I will tell you some little secrets, because I know in my heart of hearts that I would be in worse condition if I did not practice thanking my physical body. I'd go right down to the telomeres. Thank you, telomeres, for producing mitochondria that will allow me to develop new cells that are going to be healthy and strong and perfect. Thanking my body parts for telling me that something's wrong. Thanking my body parts for holding me together and helping me. And I'm holding my hip right now because this is the part that's real, slightly off. And those that have hypermobility understand what I'm talking about. This isn't the first time something has been dislocated-ish. I don't even know. But if I didn't speak to my body and persevere with all of these healthy little practices, so that's healthy perseverance. The way we move forward, it's the how we move forward. We have to move forward in a way that is aligned with our overall best interest, with our overall health and well-being, with our hearts. And I'm reading in the comments, and on a subconscious level, it also helps to expand the gratitude for preserving yourself, right? For persevering, which helps to shift back to alignment more quickly. Absolutely. That's my favorite goat. Thank you for bringing that up, because gratitude, the attitude of gratitude, is what will always lift you up and shift the scales back to balance. Okay. Because we get like this sometimes, where we feel low in a certain aspect of our lives. But with gratitude and with compassion and with that knowledge that no one's living your experience, no one has to do what you do on a daily basis. No one can possibly be in your body, your heart, or your brain. How the hell would anyone else know? So therefore, you have plenty to be grateful for to bring yourself back into balance and help yourself persevere through and keep your focus on the goals. Of course, this, I don't know if it's a McDonald's or Burger King commercial that's coming up in my head. Keep your eyes on the fries from the 80s. Keep your eyes on the fries. Meaning, what is your goal? What is your purpose? And is that actually working for you? Do I need to adjust and flow? Be like that, what Bruce Lee said, be the water. I know, Michael, sometimes we can try to move forward a little too much and then we make ourselves dizzy and go in circles with our heads. That's why we need the rest. It doesn't matter what rest looks like. Rest could look like a lot of different things, but the rest is what makes perseverance sustainable, because that's our opportunity to go deep within, to allow ourselves an opportunity to reflect and have the gratitudes that we need to have for ourselves, our body, our brain, our capability, our knowledge. We have value. We all have intrinsic value. It's up to us to see the value within ourselves and use that as a baseline for us to move forward. Okay? We don't want to mock and shame ourselves or give ourselves more trouble than we're already receiving from the outside, because then we're just agreeing. Why are we agreeing? That's not going to help us persevere. That's going to make us push through in a very unhealthy way just to satisfy the status quo. And who the heck decided what the status quo was? Don't we get to decide for ourselves? Don't we get to choose? Don't we get to decide that instead of shaming myself for making mistakes, I'm going to laugh at me like, it's such an ADHD thing to do, whatever. And it's not like we're clinging on to labels. It's we're understanding ourselves. Yes, I am preaching this morning, aren't I? We're understanding ourselves, right? We can't, because we're not going to give ourselves rest when we're in self-sacrifice and self-abandonment. That's not perseverance. We're not going to give ourselves rest. We have to give ourselves rest to continue forward without abandoning ourselves, okay? Because we can get very lost in that commitment, right? Instead of being committed to ourselves and our purpose, we're getting lost in that commitment part. There will always be someone who tests and questions your success. The hard part is not embodying that. Right. But is it hard, or is it something that we can release from ourselves, that false sense of obligation or responsibility to satisfy individuals that are really maintaining their ignorance? Um, you know, don't let your ignorance get in the way of the facts that I'm bringing to the table. Like, that's kind of how I feel. When I'm projected at, which happens quite a lot and quite often, I understand fully that I'm in observation mode, and I'm letting this person show me where their belief systems are and what their level of understanding is. I'm not going to take it to heart. I refuse. I took it to heart I have over 4 decades, well over almost 5 decades of trauma, and taking things to heart and internalizing things, which is another way of saying taking things personally. Because I was never enough for those around me. Of course, they're not for me. They don't understand me. They're not aligned with my purpose and my heart. They don't get what I'm trying to put down, because they're choosing to maintain their own ignorance and limitations and judgments and expectations, because they push through. So I should be pushing through. Well, honey, I'm choosing to be healthy. There's a difference. I'm committed to my own personal growth and evolution and my own self-love. That's what I'm persevering through. I'm persevering because I have that self-love. I have that self-worth. I know I'm worthy. I know I deserve success. I know it's going to be weird trying to get there, because I don't, you know what I mean? But then I look at it and, like, Diane, you are successful. It may not look like the kind of success that's acceptable, but what I'm doing is successfully laying my foundation for my future. I'm not going to see everything, every seed that I'm planting yet. I'm not. I can't see all the seeds that I'm planting, especially in my line of work. I've been a therapist my whole life, even though I can't use that word because, whatever. I have the ability to help people out of their darkest places as a trauma specialist. I understand the value that my presence alone impacts those around me. I understand what that does. I cannot allow external voices to tell me the story that I'm supposed to live. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to help people. I'm here to serve the greater good. I'm here to serve others in the way that I'm meant to, for those that resonate with me. So if you don't resonate with me, you're not going to be in my world. It's that simple. You can go somewhere else. Go find what resonates with you. Why are you what I feel like is, like, sometimes people are insistent, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and gotta do this, and how come you don't that, and why don't you this and this. There's a lot of shame involved with all that projection, isn't there? Right? But perseverance says, tune all that crap out. Tune it all out. Because you're the only one who knows what's aligned with you. You're the only one who knows what's in your heart. You're the only one who's going to understand yourself, because you're the only one who's lived your experience, period. So in perseverance that comes from a heart-centered space of love, we acknowledge the greatness within ourselves. We acknowledge the achievements that we have had to this point today. We acknowledge all the efforts that we put in that are mostly unseen, right? Most of us do all of this behind the scenes or as an inside job. No one really knows the ins and outs of you except for you. I think there's a Billy Joel lyric in one of his songs. You wake up with yourself in the morning. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. You always wake up with yourself. That's the reality. How you feel about yourself has to be rooted in love to help you persevere, not burn out, not push through, not tolerate, not acquiesce to others' demands of what things are supposed to look like. The more you believe you're enough, the more you will persevere. Yes. Um, Social ideologies are just made up. They are. Thank you for saying that. It's all made up. it's all it's all made up. Who came up with these rules? Who? Whoever it's serving the most, right? That's not necessarily what's aligned with your heart and what's aligned with love. So ask, is this aligned with who I am as a person? Am I aligned with my purpose? Am I abandoning myself in those moments where you feel like you want to give yourself some rest, but you can't because there's things that are, deadlines, this, that, the other, da, 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 da. Okay. And there's a million ways to give ourselves rest. So since there's a million different ways, oh, maybe there's not a million, maybe there's a quadrillion ways that we can give ourselves rest, because that looks different for every being, we can give ourselves rest. Because if we're trying to give ourselves the kind of rest that everyone decides is rest, we're still pushing through. We're still acquiescing. Yep, it's rooted in something. I'm the kid who started fire in the rain. Get on my level and get out of my way. Yes. And I love that you just said that, because I say something similar. And what I usually say is, if you're not going to add value to my experience, then move aside, please. You're either going to walk beside me or get out of the way. Because if you're standing in front of me telling me how it's going to go and what I should have, could have, would have, you're not actually supporting me. You're just controlling the outcome that you wish to see. Then you're not actually holding space. So perseverance with love means also evaluating and letting go of what is not working for you. And that's okay, because that's not a failure. It's readjustment, realignment. What can I do differently? Who am I attracting into my experience? Who you attract in your experience sometimes is folks who want your energy because they see something in you that's bright and beautiful and loving. Or sometimes they're individuals who feel like they know better than you what you need and what you want. So in perseverance, remember, the only person who's got your back is you. Now, if you're blessed enough to have love and support around you, like I do, that's fabulous. I have a lot of love and support around me. But at the end of the day, I'm only going to wake up with myself. So what actions and thought patterns do I have? And what am I doing to help myself persevere through all of this craziness that I'm navigating through in my own world? That's me. I have to do that for me. I love me. I have compassion for me. I honor me and my humanity along the way. And on that note, I think it's a good time to say, find me on healingrose.org. Check out the Embers, Embers of Light. I'm going to mess this up. I'm sorry. Because I didn't put a boilerplate in front of me to read it. Check out the new site. You can find all of us on there for the Rise Radio Network. This radio station is shifting and growing and evolving. And so this radio station is in the process of becoming. Just like each of us as individuals are in the process of becoming. And we are sharing our becoming with all of you in the hopes that it inspires and helps all of you move through your own becoming. So if I can, Michael says, she's sugarcoating it. Am I sugarcoating it? Oh no, we talked about the ugly stuff before you popped on. This becoming is not for the weak. So if you are feeling like you're failing or it's not going your way, just know that you are in your greatest strength right now, because your greatest strength is aligning yourself with your divine purpose so that you can persevere with love and in that heart-centered space for yourself. Okay, that's when the magic happens. So come find me at healingrose.org. That's my booking platform. Find me on the socials, find Micah, find Carrie. Get in touch with us if you want to also host a show yourself, whether it's on Rise Awakenings or on Rise Radio with the music. Let's grow together. We're rising together as a team. So that's all we can do is help each other rise. You're good, Michael. It's all good. We can only help each other rise together. And I love the station for that. And I love the direction that the station is going in, because it is aligning itself with a heart-centered space fully and completely. And it's navigating through all of the roadblocks like this. And I'm very proud of the station and how the station is evolving. So I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate this whole entire group of individuals that resonate with us. And I love you all so, so much. Thank you. Thank you for blooming with us. Thank you.
Who knew that the Messengers, a singular vision between Brindle Wolf and Lunaria, would turn into Rise Radio, radio inspiring singers everywhere? And not too long after that, Rise Awakenings would come onto the scene to bring you shows of inspiration, spiritual uplift, and heightened awareness. And together they formed the Rise Radio Networks. And just like the phoenix rising from the ashes, we have a new home on the web called Embers of Light. Come and check it out.
From the soil of your sorrow, petals from pain, new color in tomorrow. You walk through the dark with a soft, steady truth, holding your heart till your heart carries you. This is the blue. This is the blue.
Hey, this is Brindle Wolf.
And I'm Lunaria.
You're listening to Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action.
We're here to spark your growth, lift your spirit, and help you crush your potential.
Rise awakening, hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your station, your voice where dreams awaken. Fly. Rise awakening, now is the time.
Rise Awakenings. Let's rise together.